Hello everyone, welcome to ETHIO Blend. This is Solomon. In today's tutorial, I'll show you how to create wood barrel in Blender. Please support us by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on the notification bell for updates. Stay tuned until the end. Let's get started. First, open Blender. Hold the Shift key to select both the light and camera, then press X to delete them. Now we only need cube. Press 5 to switch the perspective view to orthographic. Switch to edit mode and scale the cube down to 0.1 as it is too large. Scale along the Z-axis by pressing S and typing 10. Then scale along the X-axis by 1.5 and the Y-axis by 0.5. This creates a simple wooden shape. Since it's large, scale it down further by pressing S and typing 0.3. Switch back to object mode. And rename this cube to barrel. Before proceeding, duplicate it by pressing Shift D. And rename the duplicate to cover. Hide this cover for later use. Switch to edit mode and add 5 loop cuts to the front face by pressing Ctrl R. Then add another 5 loop cuts from the side. Press 3 for the side view and enable X-ray mode. Add a loop cut in the middle with Ctrl R. Then move the vertices along the Y-axis by -0.05. Bevel the edge by pressing Ctrl B and adding 4 segments to create a curved shape. Switch back to object mode and go to the modifier tab to add a subdivision modifier, setting it to 2 for finer edges. Next, add an array modifier and set the count to 16. To close the gaps at the top and bottom edge, switch to edit mode. Add a loop cut with Ctrl R and move it to the edge by -0.8. Do the same for the bottom edge, moving it by 0.8 to sharpen the edge. Make the shading smooth, then switch to top view by pressing 7. In the modifier tab, add a simple deform modifier. Change the type from twist to bend and set the bending angle to 360 to create a circular shape. If the size is not to your liking, in edit mode, select all by pressing A and adjust the size by moving along the Y-axis inward to narrow or outward to widen. Once satisfied with the size, apply the array modifier followed by the simple deform modifier to convert everything to a mesh. Turn off X-ray mode. In top view, adjust the object origin and centering. Switch to edit mode and press Shift S, then select cursor to selected to move the cursor to the object center. Go to object, transform, and select the origin to geometry. Then press Shift S, cursor to center. Then press Shift S to move the selection to the cursor, centering the barrel. Activate the snap tool and move it until it snaps to the ground. Unhide the cover. Rotate it on the X-axis 90 degrees by pressing R. Then deactivate the snap tool and position it on top. Press 1 for front view. Switch to edit and wireframe mode. Select the bottom vertices with B and delete them by pressing X. We only need the top face for now. Press W and subdivide 5 times. Then add a subdivision modifier and increase it to 2. Add an array modifier with a count of 8. Switch back to solid mode. In edit mode, add a loop cut with Ctrl R and move it to -0.8 for a sharp edge. Then do the same for the other edge with 0.8. Switch back to object mode and move the cover object on top of the barrel. In edit mode, scale it down slightly with S. Then adjust its position. Switch back to object mode. Apply the array modifier and change the pivot point from median point to individual origin. In edit mode, press E to extrude. Then switch to wireframe for better visibility and move it slightly along the Z-axis. Switch back to solid mode. If it's inverted in edit mode, select all and press Ctrl N to flip the normals. Since the origin is at the edge, in edit mode, press Shift S to move the cursor to the selected. In object mode, object, transform and selecting origin to geometry. Press Shift A to add a cylinder. Then set the cap fill type to nothing. In edit mode, scale it down to be slightly wider than the barrel hole. Press E to extrude and scale until it covers the cover object. Switch back to object mode. Select the cover object and go to the modifier tab to add a boolean modifier. Use the eyedropper tool to select the cylinder as the target object. Switch to wireframe mode for better visibility. If it cuts off the center, change the operation to difference. Hide the cylinder. Switch to solid mode and smooth shade the cover object. Now apply the boolean modifier as it's no longer needed, and you can hide or delete the cylinder. Finally, go to the modifier tab and add a mirror modifier. The origin is on the center of the cover object, but we can use the barrel origin. First, select the eyedrop plate and choose the barrel. Uncheck the x-axis and check the z-axis to cover the bottom. Next, we need to create the handle for the top cover. Apply the mirror modifier. Switch to front view by pressing 1 and hide the barrel for now. To separate the top and the bottom covers, enter edit mode and activate X-ray mode. Use B to select the top cover vertices. Then press P to separate the selection. And rename the selection to cover top and cover bottom. The faces need to be cleaned up. Switch to edit mode. Activate X-ray mode if needed. And use B to select and delete the lower vertices by pressing X. Again, select the half vertices with B and delete them as we will mirror it later. Remove any unwanted standalone vertices by holding Shift and selecting them. Then dissolve with pressing X. Press A to select all vertices. Switch to front view and press E to extrude. Return to object mode, and now the mesh looks much better. Since the mesh is inverted, go back to edit mode, select all with A and press Ctrl N to flip the normals. Now we will focus on the bottom cover. Select the bottom cover, switch to edit and X-ray mode and use B to select the top vertices and press X to delete them. No need to dissolve unwanted vertices here as it's the bottom cover. Press A to select all vertices, then press E to extrude a little and again press E. Finally, delete the vertices with X. The model is now improved with clean face. To fix the inverted mesh, go into edit mode, select all with A and press Ctrl N to flip the normals. Select the top cover and center the cursor on it using Shift S. Add a cylinder with Shift A, then scale it down in edit mode using S. Activate X-ray mode for better visibility. Select half a circle, including the center vertices with B, and delete it with X. Shorten the shape by scaling along the Z-axis and position it within the cover. Select the two edges and fill them by pressing F. Select the top loop with Alt and fill the face with F. Repeat this for the bottom loop. Switch back to object mode. Select the top cover and add a boolean modifier from the modifier tab. Choose the cylinder as the object and set the operation to reference. Hide the cylinder with H. To fix the stretched face, go to Object Data Properties and enable Auto Smooth. Apply the Subdivision modifier followed by the Boolean modifier. Now add a Mirror modifier from the Modifier tab. The cover is now clean and well defined. Unhide the barrel and create a ring around it. Select the barrel and center the cursor with Shift S. Add a circle using Shift A. Scale it to fit the barrel in edit mode. Then extrude it upward in the Z axis by 0.025. Select the loop with Alt. Extrude downward by 0.025. And scale as needed. Switch to Object Mode. Add a Subdivision modifier and set the level to 2. Then add a Shrink Ramp modifier. Select the eyedrop plate and choose the barrel as a target to stick the ring. From the Modifier tab, add a Solidify modifier to thicken the ring. Change the offset to 1 to reverse the thickness direction. Then reduce the thickness to 0.001. Smooth the shading. If the edges appear straight, enable Auto Smooth in the Object Data Properties. Duplicate the ring with Shift D. To move the ring, first go to the Modifier tab and then freeze the Shrink Ramp modifier. Move it upward to align with the barrel's edge. In Edit mode, scale it down. To adjust the vertices, select the loop by pressing Alt and scale it until it looks correct. Return to Object Mode and unfreeze the Shrink Ramp modifier. Add a Mirror modifier. To mirror in the opposite direction to the bottom of the barrel, select the eyedrop plate, then choose the barrel as the mirror object. Uncheck the X-axis and check the Z-axis to change the axis. Apply the Mirror modifier. Hold Shift to select the rings. Then press Ctrl J to join them into one object. In Edit mode, select a vertex and center the cursor on it with Shift S, then return to Object mode. Press Shift A and add a sphere to create the pin. In Edit mode, scale it down by pressing S. And rotate it 90 degrees on the X-axis by pressing R. Scale it smaller again. Switch to Top View with 7. Select half a circle with P. And delete vertices with X. Press Alt to select the loop, then press E to extrude and S to scale. Extrude and scale repeatedly. Finally, extrude in the Y-axis so the pin fits into the ring. Press Shift D to duplicate the pin before proceeding. Temporarily hide the duplicated pin. Switch to Edit mode and rotate it on the X-axis. Smooth the shading. And check for stretched face. Enable Auto Smooth if necessary. In Top View, to create the pins around the ring, press Shift S and select Cursor to Center. Next, set the pivot point to the 3D cursor. We need 6 pins, so divide 360 by 6, which means each pin should be rotated by 60 degrees. Duplicate the pin by pressing Shift D. Then rotate it by 60 degrees using R. Repeat the duplication and rotation process. Select each pin while holding Shift. Then press Ctrl J to join them into one object. Go to the Modifier tab and add a Mirror modifier. Use the eyedropper tool to select the barrel as the mirror object, checking the Z-axis and unchecking the X-axis. Rename the sphere to Pin. and unhide the sphere 1. Change the pivot point to the median point. Enable snapping and move it along the z-axis. Disable snapping and move it along the y-axis. Shade the object smooth and enable auto smooth in the object data setting. Switch to top view by pressing 7. Again, duplicate the pin with Shift D and change the pivot point back to the 3D cursor and rotate it by 60 degrees. Repeat this process for the remaining pin. Select each sphere and press Ctrl J to join them into one object. Finally, select the pin and apply the mirror modifier. Then hold Shift to select both pins and join them using Ctrl J. Thanks for watching. I hope this tutorial is helpful. So if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you are new, please subscribe to this channel and join our family. Until we meet again, bye bye.